How can a tiny shrimp make a flash of light and a sound that drowns out boats? Let's meet the shrimp that snaps a bubble like a tiny thunderclap. A thumb-sized animal that turns plain seawater into a weapon. It does it with speed, not chemicals. And for a blink shorter than a blink, it even makes light. Here is the wild part. One oversized claw claps shut. A bubble bursts into life, then slams shut so fast it flashes. That flash is real, not glow-in-the-dark stuff. It is light made by pressure and speed alone. For a few millionths of a second, the inside of that tiny bubble reaches temperatures in the thousands of Kelvin. That is in the same rough range as the sun's surface, but only in a pinprick of water for an instant. No sparks, no fire, no special juice, just water moved so fast that the pressure drops, a bubble forms, and then it collapses with a shock wave. The shrimp does this over and over. Each snap is one little burst of physics turned into food. So who is this bubble shooter? These are snapping shrimp, also called pistol shrimp. They belong to a big family called Alphiidae. There are more than 600 species known. They live in warm, shallow seas around the world. Reefs, seagrass beds, and sandy flats are full of them. You often hear them before you see them. Healthy reefs sound like bacon frying. It is a constant crackle and pop. That is thousands of little claws snapping all day and night. If you lower a simple underwater microphone near a reef, the hiss of snaps fills your recording. It is the shrimp version of a busy city. Most of these shrimp are only 3 to 5 centimeters long when grown. One claw is normal-sized, the other is huge. It looks silly until you see what it can do. That big claw can be half the length of the whole shrimp. It is not for pinching. It is a water gun. Think of the big claw like a spring-loaded plunger. The tip is shaped like a small hammer that closes into a socket. When the shrimp fires, that plunger slams shut in under 1,000th of a second. That is faster than a hummingbird wing beat. The parts do not hit the prey. They never need to. The slam squeezes water through a tiny gap at the front of the claw. Out shoots a tight jet at around 20 to 30 meters per second. That is like a strong backyard hose, but at shrimp scale and compressed in a tiny beam. The moving pieces stop. The jet keeps going. The damage comes from what that jet does to the water. Here is the key. The jet drops the pressure so fast that the water boils locally, not because it is hot, but because the pressure is low. That makes a hollow bubble of vapor grow right in front of the claw. This is called cavitation, which just means making a bubble from speed and low pressure. The bubble can swell to a few millimeters across. That is giant compared to the nozzle it came from. Then the jet fades. The water pressure around the bubble wins. The bubble implodes. When it collapses, it sends out a sharp shock wave that can stun a tiny crab or worm a short distance away. For the prey, the lights go out. At that instant of collapse, there is a brief flash. Scientists call this sonoluminescence. That word means light from sound. It lasts only microseconds. The temperatures inside the bubble at that moment are inferred to be in the several thousands of Kelvin. Remember, that heat is in a speck for a blink, and it cools right away. The shrimp and the water around it do not cook. How loud is one snap? Up close to the shrimp, the sound can be measured at levels near 190 to 200 decibels, in the way scientists measure underwater sound. That is huge for a little animal. The snap spreads its energy across a wide range of pitches, from low rumbles your ear can hear to very high pitches that reach into ultrasound. The punch falls off fast with distance. A tiny worm at a few centimeters can be knocked silly. A diver a few meters away only hears a pop in the crackle. There is no danger to your ears at normal swim distance. It is powerful on the shrimp's scale and gentle on ours. How do we know about the flash? In the year 2000, a team led by Michel Verslaus filmed a common snapping shrimp called Synalpheus heterocalis with ultra-high-speed cameras. They watched the claw close in less than a millisecond. A jet formed. A vapor bubble swelled to a few millimeters across, then it imploded into a shock wave. They also set up very sensitive light sensors. Right as the bubble collapsed, the sensors caught a tiny burst of light. Frame by frame, light and collapse lined up. That was the first clear link in the wild between the snap, the cavitation bubble, and a flash of light. A lab beaker trick made by a shrimp. So why snap at all? Hunting. A shockwave right in front of your face is a great way to stop a small crustacean from wriggling away. The shrimp rushes in and grabs dinner while it is stunned. It also snaps to defend its burrow from nosy neighbors. That shockwave can even move sand. A few snaps can puff out sediment and clear a doorway. It is a tidy tool. And it is a way to talk. Rapid bursts of snaps can send messages to mates and rivals. In a reef town full of shrimp, you can say a lot with a knock. Many snapping shrimp share a home with a fish called a watchman goby. It is a perfect team-up. The shrimp is nearly blind. The goby has great eyes. The shrimp keeps one antenna on the goby's tail like a safety line. The goby stands at the door and watches the street. When the goby flicks its tail, that is code for danger. The shrimp shoots backward into the tunnel. When the coast is clear, the pair comes back out. The shrimp does the digging and home repairs. The goby pays the rent with vigilance. And if someone nosy comes close, the claw comes up and snap. Some snapping shrimp live in a way that is more like ants. In Caribbean sponges, a few species in the group Synalpheus form tight colonies. One large female is the main breeder. She stays deep inside the sponge. Many others act as guards and workers. These guards have big claws for their size. They hold tunnels and doorways. If a rival shrimp tries to break in, the soldiers meet it with a burst of snaps. The shock waves can blow intruders out of the sponge opening. These are the only known marine crustaceans that live with true casts like this. Back on the reef, the sound never stops. If you drop a recorder on a healthy patch reef at sunset and let it run all night, you will hear a steady crackle. Hundreds to thousands of snaps per minute layer into a soft roar. Navies know this sound well. Shrimp beds can mask the pings of ship propellers and sonar. Ecologists use that noise too. Snap rates go up on richer, busier reefs. With a cheap recorder, they can listen overnight and get a quick feel for reef health without even getting wet. When you hear the bacon crackle, you are hearing life at work. Lose that giant claw and you might think the show is over. Not for a snapping shrimp. If it loses its big claw, the small claw can transform into a new snapper after the next molt. The side that was lost grows back as the small claw. The shrimp has swapped hands. That giant claw is a lot of hardware to lug around. On a thumb-sized animal, it can be half the body length. It is a billboard that says, "Do not mess with me." It is also a custom tool you can rebuild when life takes a bite out of you. A few careful notes before we wrap up. Not every snap makes a visible flash. You need dark water and very sensitive gear to catch that light. The extreme temperatures are based on models of the collapsing bubble. They are local and brief. The bulk water and the shrimp stay cool. Sound levels also depend on how you measure. The huge numbers are right next to the source. Out in the water, sound fades with distance, and the high pitches get soaked up faster. For us, that means a cozy crackle, not a blast. If this little marvel is hitting your curiosity in the best way, stick around with us. We share creatures that turn raw physics into survival. Subscribe if you want more, and drop a like if this tiny thunderclap made you grin. There is a whole reef of wonders to explore here on Faunary. All of this happens in milliseconds and millimeters. A jet, a bubble, a shock wave, and a spark of light. Layer millions of snaps together, and a reef sings with a living soundtrack. A tiny animal with thunder in its hands. Evolution found fireworks in a thimble of seawater. If you enjoyed this, subscribe for more odd and beautiful lives, and wander our channel for your next wonder. See you next time.